My friends, seekers of truth and wanderers of the psyche, listen closely. The comfort zone, as seductive as a gentle lullaby, is in truth a beautifully adorned prison. It promises safety, it promises ease, and yet it quietly binds the spirit, constraining the very essence of our potential. To dwell in the comfort zone is to live half awake. One may be shielded from fear, yet also shielded from growth. One may enjoy the fleeting illusion of control, yet it is an illusion born of avoidance. The soul longs for meaning, yet finds itself appeased with trivial security. Every step beyond the familiar is a confrontation with the unknown, a brush with the shadows that lurk within. But it is precisely within these shadows that the seeds of transformation lie. The psyche resists this confrontation because it fears discomfort, yet it is only through discomfort that the self reveals its vastness. The comfort zone whispers, "Stay here, you are safe." But the self responds, "To truly live, you must risk. To truly know, you must face the unknown within and without." Growth demands courage. Evolution requires confrontation with fear, with resistance, with the illusion of stability. We are not born to remain in placid waters. We are born to navigate the storms of life, to wrestle with our own limitations, and to rise continually. The beautiful prison of comfort offers ease, but at the cost of the soul's expansiveness. Freedom is the reward of those who dare to step beyond. Comfort is often a mask for stagnation. We tell ourselves we are content, we tell ourselves we are safe, and yet beneath this facade lies a subtle decay of the spirit. What we call comfort often conceals a quiet surrender, a giving up of the adventurous pursuit of the self. The longer we remain in the known, the more our capacities atrophy, and the more our spirit shrinks under the weight of its own illusions. Safety is seductive, but ultimately deceptive. It lures us with the gentle promise of ease, of shelter from the storms of life. Yet the very walls that seem to protect us also prevent us from seeing the vast horizons of our potential. True safety is not avoidance of danger, it is the courage to stand face to face with uncertainty, knowing that growth lies beyond what is comfortable. The psyche resists the unknown because it fears expansion. Within every human heart lies a tension between the familiar and the possible. The mind, cautious and calculating, recoils from what it cannot immediately grasp. Yet the soul cries for the unknown, for it is only when we step beyond familiar borders that we touch the infinite possibilities that reside within us. Shadows reveal what the conscious mind cannot see. In the dark recesses of our psyche dwell the truths we most fear, our desires, our unacknowledged potential, our hidden faults. To engage with these shadows is to confront what we have long denied. Only by illuminating the unseen can we claim the wholeness that the self offers. Growth emerges from confrontation, not avoidance. To flourish, one must face discomfort, resistance, and fear directly. There is no development in evasion. Life does not reward avoidance. It rewards courage, and it is through struggle that the deepest capacities of the mind and soul are revealed. Fear is the gatekeeper to your higher self. Each trembling hesitation, each anxious thought, is a signpost pointing toward transformation. Fear is not a signal to retreat, but an invitation to awaken. It guards the threshold of our higher being, demanding that we muster our courage and step forward, even when every fiber of our being resists. Life begins where comfort ends. The placid waters of habit and routine may soothe the surface of the mind, but the river of life flows beyond, demanding navigation through its turbulent currents. Only when we leave behind the familiar shores can we encounter the fullness of existence. Repetition breeds illusion, not mastery. To endlessly repeat what is safe and known gives the impression of skill and control, but this is a hollow semblance. True mastery arises from engagement with the unpredictable, from learning through challenge, failure, and risk. Risk awakens dormant potential. Within every human being lies vast capacities that remain untapped until provoked by uncertainty. The daring act of stepping into the unknown ignites dormant strengths, revealing facets of the self previously concealed by hesitation and fear. Security without challenge is spiritual lethargy. To seek only comfort is to stagnate, to deny the soul its rightful expression. True vitality emerges not from safety, but from the friction of life itself, the trials, the uncertainties, the challenges that sharpen the mind and strengthen the spirit. The ego craves stability. The self craves wholeness. The ego, protective and conservative, seeks shelter and repetition. The self, expansive and eternal, calls us beyond. These boundaries demanding that we engage with the fullness of existence, integrating both light and shadow into a complete whole. Discomfort is a messenger, not an enemy. Every pang of unease, every tension that rises within us, is a signal from the psyche. It is the voice of the self nudging us toward growth, reminding us that we cannot evolve without leaving our comfort behind. Transformation is born of tension, the friction of opposites, the known and the unknown, fear and courage, habit and innovation, creates the crucible in which transformation occurs. Without resistance, the soul remains dormant. Only through tension can the spirit be forged. The familiar is the enemy of evolution. What we recognize, what we control, what we have mastered, can become a subtle cage. Evolution demands that we step beyond what is comfortable, that we embrace novelty, that we challenge the boundaries we once held sacred. True courage is not absence of fear, but action in spite of it. To be courageous is not to feel no trembling, but to act even when the heart quivers. Each step taken despite fear strengthens the soul, proving to ourselves that our limitations are far narrower than we imagined. Conformity is the silent jailer of creativity. When we surrender to the ease of blending in, we forsake the vibrant uniqueness of our psyche. True creativity arises when we dare to challenge norms, when we allow the unexpected within us to surface, illuminating the path forward. Growth requires embracing uncertainty. Life offers no guarantees, no neat maps. To grow is to walk without complete knowledge, to trust the self beyond the comfort of certainty, and to welcome the lessons that uncertainty brings. Every habit may be a subtle chain. Those routines we call life skills may hide a quiet imprisonment, restricting our vision and our capacity to act freely. Awareness of these chains is the first step to liberation. To evolve, one must leave the known behind. The familiar shores, the repeated patterns, the safe habits, they must be abandoned to encounter the vast ocean of possibility. Evolution is not gentle, it demands the courage to depart from all that is known. Shadow work illuminates hidden potential. Within our unconscious lie treasures of insight, creativity, and wisdom. Confronting our shadow is not punishment, it is discovery, revealing the energies that have been waiting for recognition. Pleasure can be a form of imprisonment. The lure of comfort, the seductive ease of enjoyment, can quietly bind us, distracting from the deeper calling of the self. True liberation often requires the willingness to forego immediate pleasure for long-term fulfillment. Anxiety signals the boundary of your comfort zone. Every unease, every subtle tension marks the edge of growth. Rather than fleeing from it, we must honor it as a guide, a subtle compass pointing toward the path we most need to take. Resistance is the soul's way of pointing to growth. When we encounter obstacles within ourselves, they are often the psyche's invitation to expand. The resistance we feel is not punishment, it is a call to confront, to integrate, to evolve. Mastery is impossible without risk. Those who seek true skill, true understanding, and true power must be willing to venture where certainty ends. Risk is the crucible in which mastery is forged. The mind fears what the soul desires. Rationality resists change, yet the deeper self knows its potential. The tension between mind and soul is the battlefield on which growth is won. Comfort zones are seductive illusions of control. They create a mirage of safety, yet all control gained in the familiar is fragile. True control comes from mastery over oneself, which is only gained by stepping beyond ease. Self-awareness emerges. ROM challenges. The trials of life act as mirrors, reflecting aspects of ourselves we would otherwise ignore. Only by engaging fully with challenge do we gain insight into the depths of our own being. Life's meaning resides in struggle, not ease. The soul is awakened not by repetition or comfort, but by the engagement with difficulties that demand courage, wisdom. Each step beyond fear is a step toward wholeness. Fear is the boundary, courage the bridge. To advance is to integrate more of oneself, to claim the fullness of human potential. Avoidance creates psychic stagnation. Running from discomfort may bring temporary relief, but it starves the soul, denying the lessons embedded in challenge and the growth that emerges from tension. The soul grows through friction, not softness. Just as steel is forged in fire, the spirit strengthens through resistance, adversity, and challenge. Softness preserves, but friction transforms. When everything is known, the mind ceases to wonder, and the soul ceases to innovate. Novelty, surprise, and the unknown are necessary for vitality. Courage is the bridge between fear and freedom. Only by moving through fear, not around it, does liberation arise. Courage transforms confinement into possibility. The unknown is the canvas for self-realization. In the uncharted lies the raw material for creativity, insight, and the full expression of the self. To step into it is to embrace life in its totality. Repetition without reflection is a subtle cage. Doing the same over and over may appear safe, but without contemplation, it traps the mind, numbs the spirit, and dims the light of self-awareness. Liberation begins where complacency ends. To break free from limitation, one must acknowledge the seduction of comfort and choose the path of growth, no matter how uncertain or difficult. Emotional discomfort is a call to inner growth. Pain, longing, dissatisfaction, All these are not enemies, but guides, pointing toward the unfulfilled aspects of the self that demand attention. Security is temporary. Transformation is eternal. Material safety or habitual comfort may fade, but the courage to grow, to evolve, and to expand endures, leaving a permanent imprint upon the soul. Comfort zones breed superficiality. When we cling to ease, our understanding of life remains shallow. Depth is achieved only by venturing into complexity, conflict, and challenge. True wisdom requires stepping into the void, the unknown, the chaotic, the uncomfortable. These are the teachers of profound insight. Wisdom is never found in the placid waters of habit. The soul resists repetition for a reason. It seeks novelty. The inner self craves exploration, challenge, and the encounter with what is yet unseen. Repetition without expansion dulls the very essence of life. Each fear faced is a chain broken. Every hesitation overcome is a step toward freedom. Courage dismantles the invisible walls erected by the mind, liberating the self. Confrontation with the self is the ultimate adventure. The inner journey is perilous and demanding, yet it is here, in the depths of our own psyche, that the treasures of understanding, power, and wholeness reside. Dependence on ease diminishes autonomy. Reliance on comfort weakens the spirit's independence, limiting the capacity to act, to decide, and to live fully according to the self. The psyche matures through challenge. Like muscles, the soul strengthens through resistance, through adversity, and through encounters with the unknown that demand adaptation and growth. The beautiful prison is only as strong as your acceptance of it. Comfort confines only if we consent to its seductive chains. Awareness and choice can dissolve its invisible walls. Discomfort is the soul's tutor. Every uneasy sensation is a lesson disguised as hardship. Heed it, and it shrinks. Growth is painful, but stagnation is deadly. The ache of development is temporary. The decay of stagnation is eternal. Choose struggle, and life withers. The self calls you beyond the familiar every day. There is a persistent, gentle urging from within, a reminder that the life you are meant to live exists beyond the well-worn paths of habit. Freedom is realized when the comfort zone is transcended. Only by stepping beyond what is known, safe and easy, do we glimpse the vastness of our own potential and the expansive reality of existence itself. Remember, the comfort you cling to is often a mask for stagnation, a gentle deception that dulls your senses and narrows your vision. Safety may seduce you, but it cannot hold the truth of your potential. The psyche resists the unknown not to punish you, but because it knows that expansion requires courage. Your shadows, hidden and neglected, are not enemies. They are mirrors reflecting the parts of you that must awaken. Growth does not emerge from avoidance. It blooms only when you confront fear, challenge resistance, and step into tension. Fear is not a barrier but the gatekeeper to your higher self, a signal that you stand on the threshold of transformation. Life, in its deepest sense, begins where comfort ends. Repetition breeds illusion, not mastery, and the mind fears what the soul desires. Security without challenge is spiritual lethargy, a subtle imprisonment of the spirit. The ego seeks stability, yet the self craves wholeness, urging you toward the unknown where potential lies dormant, waiting to be awakened. Discomfort is no enemy. It is the tutor of the soul, calling you beyond the familiar, beyond ease, into the vast of self-realization. Every habit may be a chain, every pleasure a subtle cage. Anxiety, resistance, and unease are signposts marking the edges of your comfort zone, guiding you toward what must be faced. Mastery cannot exist without risk, and courage is not absence of fear, but action in spite of it. Conformity dims creativity, complacency stifles growth. The unknown is the canvas on which the self paints its most profound masterpiece. Emotional discomfort, tension, and friction are the instruments through which transformation is forged. The soul grows not through softness, but through challenge. Depth, wisdom, and freedom require stepping into the void, confronting repetition, embracing uncertainty, and facing each fear that binds you. Each step beyond hesitation, each confrontation with your inner darkness, breaks chains and illuminates hidden potential. Dependence on comfort diminishes autonomy, yet courage and conscious choice dissolve invisible walls. Stagnation is deadly. Growth is painful but alive. Liberation begins when you recognize the seductive beauty of your prison and choose to transcend it. The self calls you every day to venture beyond the known, to embrace tension, to confront your shadows, and to walk into the boundless realm of possibility. True freedom is realized when the comfort zone is left behind, when the soul awakens fully to its infinite capacity, and when you step boldly into the life you were always meant to live. Step beyond, risk, feel, confront, and awaken. The beauty of life is not in ease, but in the unfolding of the self, in the courage to face fear, and in the relentless pursuit of wholeness. Your comfort is a prison, yes, but your courage is the key.